Hello and welcome to another writerlywitterings. And today you've got a little bit of a treat. I've had one of those days where everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I decided last week that I was going to do a review of 3 or 4 different inks, and they would all be blue and I would be talking about them, which is interesting and fun sometimes. However, I started looking at one of my inks that I have enjoyed for some years, which is Diamine's Deep Dark Blue, and I suddenly thought, that's odd. That sample looks a little bit red. And when I studied it in a bit more detail, I realised that there's quite a significant amount of sheen coming off it. So I thought, I won't do a review of a whole bunch of different inks. I'll do a slightly more interesting review of the sheen on this ink, which was a good idea. And it would have been wonderful, except I started recording, and that was nice. And I took some photos of the sheen, which worked well. Or at least it started to, and then the sun went in again and there was no sheen visible, which was fun. And then I discovered that at least half of the recording I had just done never materialised on the camera. I don't know what happened to it, but it just wasn't there. And then when I was trying to re-record, I had 3 deliveries in rapid succession and each one had to be cancelled. So now it's about 4 hours later. I've got rid of that little sense of impending doom and frustration, and I think I can go ahead. I've managed to take some photos when the sun came out briefly, so there are some examples I can use. And just because it's the way today has gone, I thought I would include a few bloopers. I've recently done an audition for a new television programme, which was not easy because it was me on my own talking to a camera in the middle of Dartmoor and forgetting my lines just about every time. So I thought I've cut together a few of the looks of frustration, hysterical stupidity and general incompetence really, which I'll tag on the end of this just for those who are interested. Since everything else about this video has gone wrong already, see, I'm doing it again. My language is flowing away. Since everything else has gone wrong though, it seems suitable to append a bunch of bloopers to the back end. Hope you enjoy that. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at some ink. Okay, so here we are. This is my little book of essential ink tests. As you can see, there are a large number of blue inks here, even in just the Diamine range. But my mainstays always have been for work blue, black and Prussian blue. I have decided that I really do like ASA and Kensington, but they're not quite there for me. However, when it comes to inks that have got a really good sheen, I tend to fall in favour of Majestic Blue, which is just a fabulous one. If I come back here, Diamine Midnight. Now again, I had never noticed that there was a sheen on this until I started looking last week, and there is a glorious sheen. That's really a fabulous, fabulous ink. And I'm going to be doing a bit more looking at that in a future video, I think. The one that really, really catches my eye, and you can see that I know because I can see it through the camera's window, whatever you call the darn thing, screen, that's the word, screen. I can see that quite clearly. The Majestic Blue is there. I can sort of see it with my naked eye. My eyesight is quite appalling nowadays, but I can see the sheen there as I hold it, and I can see it on the camera too, which is good. but definitely Dartmoor Twilight made by Peter Kasher is just a wonderful one. Thank you, Peter. He made that specifically for me. It was a one-off and it's still delightful. But today I wanted to show Diamine Cult Pen's Deep Dark Blue. Why? Because it interests me. And things that interest me have to be used. Now, for once, I've not been working with the TWSBI Go because I thought it would be interesting to see what this ink was like and that is where my memory card in my camera ran out of space and so the video stopped. Let's come back to this, shall we? So I was thinking about using my Conway Stewart Indiana Jones because it's a delightful pen to use and it's so quick and easy. You just pull out the lever and then dunk the nib into the ink, push the lever back in and it's filled. It's easy. I like that. I like simplicity and speed when I'm writing. So there's the lever out. Let the lever go back. It just releases the ink sac inside to suck up ink. You need to hold it in the ink for a couple of moments, purely because it means that you get the maximum fill, and then dry off the end and the nib. And suddenly you have a very full fill of Diamine and Cult Pen's Deep Dark Blue. What more could a fellow ask for? Well, he could probably ask for some paper. This is some really cheap old paper that I discovered a little while ago. And I have to admit, that was the wrong place to put a comma. Deep Dark Blue. Much better. However, this is pretty awful paper because this ink has got a fair flow, but you can see already dreadful feathering just about everywhere. And I suspect when I turn it over, there's... Now, I don't know about you, but I would call that a little bit of bleed through. I think that is an indication that this paper will not have any sheen whatsoever. So, let's just look at some paper that will have sheen. I can see slight sheen on this Deep Dark Blue already, just looking at it like that. Hopefully that will be moderately visible on the camera. Get up a little bit closer. But that is quite clear to me. Hopefully it shows up to you. The Majestic Blue has a similar, I would say the level of sheen is similar. It shows up slightly more, I think, on the Deep Dark Blue, simply because the blue is a darker colour. On the Majestic, you're sort of bamboozled slightly by the brightness of the blue that you have in the ink. Very interesting. And it is one of the things that makes trying to demonstrate sheen really difficult. What is obvious is that cheaper paper does not work anything like as well. Now you can probably see no sheen at all there. The only thing I would say is that the closer you get, it is almost as if there were small particles in there that wanted to glimmer, but it's just not quite working. This is the old cheap student's notebook. There is bleed through, as you would expect. There is slight feathering almost everywhere. It's not something you really need to work to pick out. But still quite an impressive little notebook, that. I then went to use this, which is a Filofax notebook. If you're interested in Filofax notebooks, look in the videos. I reviewed it there. Now with this, there is slight feathering, more so than I would have expected, to be honest, because the paper has been incredibly robust. As you can see, it really is perfectly good to go on the other side. And this paper is, I think, a little bit thicker. It might be 90 GSM. But it seems to have absorbed the ink a bit more. There is feathering. Now, this is not a scientific response, but I believe that one aspect of sheen is that there's a very thick layer of ink put on the paper, and the ink that evaporates on top of the paper and isn't absorbed by the paper is the ink that makes the sheen. There's some way that the chemicals in the colours operate on the surface of the paper, which means that they dry to give this sort of sheen. A bit like drying a scab, I suppose. If you want to think of things like that way, you probably don't. But I'm a crime writer, it's my job. What I did find when I was testing these earlier and taking photos, which I will put up here. Now, there is still sheen with this deep dark blue, but it's the sort of sheen you have to look for. Never-signed paper is very, very good. But the one that in daylight gave me the best result was this, which is Oxford paper. Not the most expensive paper by any stretch, but really quite efficient in terms of demonstrating sheening. And so there we have different types of paper with the same ink. And once again, it is astonishing just what a difference you get from different types of paper. So for example, the Tomo River is really quite stunning. The majestic blue, the deep dark blue, Diamine Midnight even. They all look superb on this paper. But then, looking at these, there are also others that sheen really well. Sargasso Sea. Don't know how well that demonstrates its sheening, but that is a really good sheening ink under this daylight bulb. But in summary, if you like your sheen, definitely look hard at the different types of paper you want to use and test them. If you're using Tomo River more often, that's a really good colour to use. If you don't want sheening, and I never did, I would say deep dark blue is one of the best office working type of inks anyhow, because it is very clear. It's a good dark colour which just looks professional. It's not dissimilar to blue black. It's very, very similar indeed. But it has that just subtle hint of red sheen coming through every now and again, which wouldn't give a problem to anyone in the office. It's just a very nice change. With this, with the deep dark blue, it's much more subtle, and I think therefore just a little bit more acceptable in the workplace. I don't know, what's your view? It is a personal thing. Different people have different views. Sorry about the rattling, just putting the bottle away. But I'd be interested in your views, as always, as we tend to have a pretty good chat about different inks and so on after these videos. And there, I have to say, I'm over the moon, because at last I have completed a video without the camera going wrong, without someone knocking at the door, without the dog making a strange noise in the background, without any number of different interruptions and elements of deep exasperation on my part, I've actually got through the rest of the video. Woohoo! And there, that's it. One excellent little pen putting down an awful lot of ink, and deep dark blue has shown a lot more character than I expected it to. And now I think I'm going to have to look at some of these other inks again with a different eye, with a different perspective, because I really wasn't expecting to see sheening on a lot of those inks. But it definitely is something that is affected by the light and also by the quality of the paper, as well as your nib and how much ink you're putting down. Now, I did promise you that this being a special auspicious day for me, because I've failed so many ways, that I'd put up a series of bloopers. So if you're interested, they're just coming. If you're not interested, you can turn off as soon as you have heard me say. If you want to support the channel, you can go to my Patreon, link down the bottom. If you want to join the Pen Pals Club, there's an email address down the bottom. Send me a note and I will add you to our lists. If you just want to like the thing to help support us, and perhaps subscribe and hit the bell button so that you're told when the next video comes out, I'd be enormously grateful. And apart from that, I am now going to get a very big beer and drink it, because this has been hard work today. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy the bloopers. I give talks on their this landscape looks so rough and unspoiled, and yet it's been one of the most busy areas for centuries. No, not happy with that. Okay, we'll take 4. Hello and welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 historic classic mystery England. Hello and welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 novels, all historical crime novels. I'm also a part-time journalist, and I'm one of the experts for the Smithsonian Journeys Classical English number 2. Hello, welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 historical crime books, and I'm New take, Facing the Sun. Hello, welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 historical crime novels. I've had a fairly checkered career. I've been part-time journalist, I've also worked in bars, and I was a computer salesman. But now, more recently, I specialise in crime. I was the chairman of the Crime Writers Association for a couple of years. I was by writing some blurb or inventing a new title. I find that a lot more difficult. It's the way my brain works. And we'll go for 3. Hello, welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 crime books.
Hello, welcome to Dartmoor. My name's Michael Jex. I'm the author of 43 historical crime books. I have been the chairman of the Crime Writers Association. I'm currently the on